So number one, well planned is half done. That's the key for them. If you could look at your business at the nth level of detail and plan your execution of the business accordingly, both in terms of doing the tasks and delivering it, and then obviously then using that money to acquire your customers. That plan in place to the level of detail gets the job done.
Hi everyone, I'm your host Ashmita Dhingra, as you all very well know, representing Digifish3, and we have Pankaj Chawla here with us, who is the founder and CEO of MSME Strategy and Consultants. So, Pankaj, it's a pleasure to have you today with us.
Thank you.
I think before we dive into the topic which is making the buzz today, is building resilient business lessons for the MSMEs, surviving the challenges majorly. So if you could just give me an insight about your organization and how you got into this, I think we'll take it up from there.
Sure. So we are MSME strategy consultants. As the name suggests, it is micro, small and medium enterprises. That's the segment for which we exist. We are focused on providing strategy to organizations so that they can grow in this world, which is quite dynamic, so-called VUCA environment. And yes, thought through, structured, future oriented. The idea is for all the entrepreneurs to have a stable lifestyle which could fit in and help them achieve their financial and non-financial goals by the timeline that they fix for themselves. That is what we exist for. We are close to a 3-year-old organization. I come from my MNC kind of an experience where I've worked on strategy. I'm chartered entrepreneur myself and a law graduate. So I thought this all experience should come in handy to micro, small and medium enterprises, and they should get benefited from it more than anyone else who could not afford expensive consultants who are providing services to the MNCs.
So Pankaj, we've been working with a lot of startups, SMEs and MSMEs as well. I understand, in the ecosystem, 50% of the, funds actually come in from the SMEs, and the rest is obviously the MNCs sector. So as it's growing, and there is a lot of startup ecosystem which is growing in different sectors, like a fintech is growing, a lot of people are getting funded, and a lot more, there is a lot of people who are getting together to form communities while they are, coming up with small and medium organizations. So how do you really think that, with the pace that the world is going, they actually see a growth, or there is a stagnancy that is going to come in the growth of a startup or a medium scaled enterprise?
Okay, so as per the data, it says that 90% of startups end their journey in less than 3 years.
Right.
And it is only balanced 10%, which could probably grow to 5 years and 10 years and beyond. Right. So there is a struggle there.
Right.
And that struggle is not because of the opportunity in the market. There's enough and more opportunity in the market. Right. The struggle is largely on knowledge side of carrying on business. I understand the spirit of entrepreneurs coming in and they kind of, in the strive to do more for the industry and make some buck out of it, are doing amazing jobs. There's amazing innovation happening. But the experience of how to run a business, how to make it profitable, right, cash positive, right, is something that's the key. Right. And if you don't do it in the initial years, you will dry out of funds. Right. As they say, for last around 15 odd months, that funding winter is there, and there's less funding happening in the market. Right. The funding winter exists because the focus of the investors and VCs has shifted from a number game to a profit game. They are looking at a unit economics. Are you making money on unit economics or not? Right. If at all you are, then it makes sense. There's a business case for them to invest in. Right. So that becomes the key. So for anyone who's not looking at unit economics, there is a struggle every time.
I agree, because I think, when we started as an organization in Dow 2014, we were working closely with a lot of startups, like even Magic Pin was a startup at that point of time. So we closely worked with them, and I agree with you, from a point of view where which funds need to be used where and how we kind of, grow our business in various horizon. It's something that we need to very closely monitor in whichever scale we are sitting at. So in terms of the startup ecosystem, it's very difficult of how much fund to acquire, and if we have acquired, how to kind of invest in the right sources, whether it is professionals that we're hiring, whether it is the execution, whether it is marketing, etc. So I'm sure it is something, difficult while you're strategizing for them as well. So what are the kind of key, to-dos that you give to a startup? Because I'm sure planning is a major part when it comes to the execution process. So what is it that you actually tell the startups which becomes like a to-do list for them to follow?
So number one, well planned is half done. That's the key for them. If you could look at your business at the nth level of detail and plan your execution of the business accordingly, both in terms of doing the tasks and delivering it, and then obviously then using that money to acquire your customers. That plan in place to the level of detail gets the job done.
Right.
Second point is, how do you make sure that you execute it the right way? For an execution to happen, any organization need to do its own SWOT. The problem now lies is, since it's a startup, the entrepreneur ends up doing his or her own SWOT than a business SWOT.
Right.
So what happens, the individual's personality gets dived into business SWOT, and the dilution impacts the continuity and longevity of the business.
So true.
So the SWOT has to happen. Then you need to see that what are the weaknesses and threats that you have, and how would you overcome that. Like you said, if you need to hire a professional, for example, is a tech entrepreneur who's very good at technology but not good at finance, that would come in either a weakness or a threat. Then that is where you need a professional. You just don't need a professional for the heck of it just because everyone has it.
Correct.
So that SWOT defines where to invest money in.
Right.
And that will define your strengths as well. So for example, your strength as an organization's entrepreneur or founder is that you are very good at marketing, but not good at sales. Then you need to fix something in sales.
Right.
How would you do that? You would have to put processes to marketing, which is what you're good at, so that this becomes an automated engine to work. And you spend your energies into sales. Maybe hire a professional to support you on a part-time basis or full-time basis. But then this is how you need to fix one after the other, pieces of the puzzle. And make your organization system-driven organization than a person-driven organization.
Right. I think, Pankaj, it's easy said than done. When you are starting up your own venture, then there is a lot of, good and the bad that somebody needs to think about. And the major evil, of course, is financial crutches or, the money coming in. But there is also an evil where, how much would I be able to deliver and what's the kind of timeline that we'll be able to deliver. So meeting a lot of startups, even today, the major trouble, is not finance for them probably. It's the kind of system that self-driven is something which is missing today. Because we have a lot of young entrepreneurs coming into picture. We have a lot of people who are having their own family ventures coming into the segment of an medium-scale enterprise. Growth is a factor which is missing for them. The kind of motivation is something which is missing. So what are the kind of things that, and you rightly said, the SWOT analysis happens for them rather than the business. So how do you really think that, you were able to shift in that motive from yourself to the business and talking about the business ROI than your own, excellency in terms of whatever field you are in? How do you kind of shift that?
Okay, so you mentioned two things. One is the SWOT shift from a person to a business. And second is on how do entrepreneurs think of their probably challenges in life. And this is a myth buster which I have been focusing on in the entire journey which I have so far, that finance is not a problem in your business.
Right.
Your business does not it does not need finance. Your business needs strategy to make money. Your business needs a thought process which can generate an engine which can give you cash flow and then ultimately profitability. The number of queries which I get, 90% of them give their one requirement. I need money and I will do everything else.
Correct.
I will fix the world if I had been given enough and more money.
Correct.
And that's where I tell them it's a myth. Your business needs
True. Very true. Very true.
just the strategy. The business model, the revenue model has to be amazingly well, which makes it an engine to generate money for you.
Right.
If you can fix that, money is not a problem. The young entrepreneurs, like you said, they would struggle at a point in time on this, The challenge is they don't seek help at the time they start the business. They seek help maybe 18 to 24 months later when they've exhausted 70-80% of their money. There's pressure from the family that you've taken enough from us. Now we'll have to, call it a day and either earn something out of the business or we're just not investing anything in it.
Right.
So when you are running against time of maybe 3 to 6 months, 10 months kind of a timeline, then under pressure will always take wrong decisions, which is what happens.
Right.
So the help is required before starting the business. Like an initiative which I've started recently, there are a lot of incubation centers and a lot of government agencies, the Ministry of MSME calling me for the talks and all of that to express my thoughts on how the entrepreneur journey should be and how should an entrepreneur think. What I've started doing myself is I've started to go to universities and teach these students what's the value of planning in advance. While the seed is there in their mind of being an entrepreneur, let me educate them there itself because it is the generation that we are looking forward to.
True.
And Indian economy is today and onwards is based on MSMEs. More than 30-40% of GDP of India comes from MSMEs. So this has to grow big. So the focus has to be on the level when the thought or a seed of an entrepreneur starts to build in. That's the journey which, as I said, I've kind of started on. Coming to the second point of how do you differentiate between individual and the business? What? You will have to look at running the business if you were not there in the business tomorrow.
Right.
How would it function?
Right.
If you are not there and the business functions well, how would that SWOT be? That is the starting point of you thinking about your business independently. And you mentioned family businesses. Family businesses work generations after generations after generations only when they've thought of themselves beyond the business.
Correct.
For all the family businesses in the Indian history, you see, the people who have thought about their existence in the business, they've not run many years.
Agreed.
So you'll have to think critically about yourself and assume from day one that system has to outgrow you. If system does not outgrow you, you will be thrown out of the system some day or the later. It could be system throwing you out through investors coming in, or you running out of funds and then going out because I don't have money, then living out, look for a job, basis my education, all of that. So that's the starting point. These are all probably seeds that one should think of and probably make it grow, water it more, think over it, mull over it on a daily basis, then come out with a plan.
Right. Because when COVID hit us, there were a lot of startups that had started pre-COVID, and then of course there were a lot of startups that started post-COVID. So pre-COVID ones practically shattered for a lot of reasons. We saw a lot of products coming, which a lot of restaurants coming in. Then there were a lot of people who were serving into food delivery applications, etc. So all of that was pre-COVID. But during COVID, everybody kind of realized that it's hit us hard, and we don't know whether we're going to see the day tomorrow or not. Then post-COVID, there were many startups who came into picture in a lot more segments. Like we had, we had services again like a Swiggy doing really well, like a Milk Basket doing phenomenally well post this thing. But of course, these were corporates. There were a lot of medium and small scale startups which started applications such as a delivery application or FMCG kind of products and fashion-based e-com portals, etc., which did really well because people were just sitting at home. We did not really have a lot to do. Post that also for a while, people were scared of going out, and but the spend was high, and we understood that there's no barrier for people to spend if the product or the kind of application is something that they're liking. So according to you, pre-COVID and post-COVID, what is the influence of technology on the startup and the medium-scale enterprises that has caused a revolutionary effect at both the sides?
Yeah, so technology has played an amazing role in the startup industry, right? Pre-COVID as well, right from maybe 10 odd years till today, and it will continue to play a role. COVID was a turning point. So obviously the dependence on technology increased post-COVID, or rather in COVID, and people realized that now you cannot go to office.
True.
Right, you're stuck, but business cannot stop. You have to earn money and you have to, make your ends meet. So people start to, embrace technology more. And this is where the subject of today of resilience come into picture. Technology has been such a factor which has made organizations more resilient than they were before that. You cannot depend on a human being for such cases, because you would not expect your employee to come to office, putting their life in danger. You'd have to put something in place, which is where, as an example, Zoom kind of boomed that very time.
Correct.
They launched in no time and they were like doing amazing.
Right.
So you had a technology where a person could sit at home and then can do work from there. So technology is an enabler. But at the same time, since it is an enabler, which means it is a tool, important for any tool in your life is that you should know how to use it. It's like a knife.
True.
If you don't use it right, it will cut your own self.
True.
So you need to understand how to use technology and where to use technology, how to get benefited out of it. Like you took an example of Swiggy and Zomato and all of that. Despite technology, they were not making profit so long.
Correct.
Because they had the tool, but they didn't have the model which could make them at a unit level profitable.
True.
So technology, yes, is an enabler, added humongous value, and will continue adding more, and will give innovative products to market. You should know how to use it.
Right.
That's the key.
Right.
And it is a game changer.
Right.
I was reading somewhere, it said that the artificial intelligence will not take anyone's job away. It is the person who knows artificial intelligence will take
Correct.
the job away. So you should know how to use technology so that you can make or have an upper edge from someone else.
Right. A very good point, actually. AI, when came into picture, it kind of came as a bomb to everybody, whether it was the startup ecosystem or whether even the MNCs. I mean, people were really scared that, whether my job will be there, content writers, graphic designers, people in the tech world, which even your web developers, everybody was really scared of what's going to happen when we're talking about AI. It's really taking away jobs and all of that. Where I remember a startup founder, I've forgotten his name, but a startup founder practically got up in the conference and he said, what is AI going to do for us? AI at the end of the day is something that we guys have made. It's just happened to us. It's just that we have made it, so we know how to control it. If we are giving it, for example, 500 content pieces, it can go to 5,000, but it can't take away your job because you are the one who's curating it for you. So, very well said. When you are making your own startup, you should know somewhere or the other what are your strong points and how do you execute it, and which is the way, even if you're using technology, which is the right way to kind of use it. There are a lot of MSMEs who come up to us and talk about, okay, we can't do our SWOT analysis, okay, do it for us. I think it's more important, sitting on the opposite end today, that it's easier for me to do a SWOT analysis of an organization from the outside. But at the end of the day, you are the owner of your own brand and you are the owner of, people who you're going to hire at the end of the day. So till the time you don't really know what's going to happen, nobody else is going to do that for you. So when, you are approached by people in terms of, give me a strategy, tell me what to do and how to do it. How do you really kind of, compliment into it that, how do you really think I can tell you exactly what you need to do? You need to first give me a brief of, how things are supposed to be. Because for me, when somebody comes up and say that, okay, I have a startup, but I don't know what to do. I have a marketing budget, I have everything, but I don't really know how to do. You take care of it. At the end of the day, it's your brand. You need to tell me what you want to do, whether you want to be, selling it door to door, or whether you want to, kind of prepare an application, or whether you have that kind of product that is going to sell. If we have actually seen products in terms of while marketing that even, no offenses, but even the product that you really think is not good performs really well to consumers, and the product which you think is wow, consumers reject it. So, but it's the kind of drive that is present with these entrepreneurs and their teams that really make you do something for themselves and cater. So coming back to that, how do you really, kind of cater to questions like that Pankaj, tell us, what to do. We really don't know how to do. We don't really know how to do a strategy, what to do. We've done something till now. Now what next? How do you kind of deal with those questions?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And it happens quite a lot of times
Right.
where people come in and they'll say, I've got this much of budget, or I will invest this money into a business. You tell me which business it should be.
Right.
And I'm like, how can I tell you? You'll have to just tell me, answer a few questions. So we've got a, questionnaire prepared for every entrepreneur. We ask them a few specific questions about their life, what they want to do, and how is it that they want to reach the place they want to reach. And then if they want to do it through technology as a critical element or tech-based startup, or they're just using technology as an enabler to ensure that they sell their product well.
Right.
So that's how we differentiate. Once that is done, we help people identify what are their goals as their personal financial goals. Once we, jot them down for them, for their personal financial goals, because at the end of the day, your business goals is a function of your personal financial goals, and you have to see the two different.
Right.
So we'll probably work with them on their personal financial goals. Once those goals are done, then we'll say, okay, how and what does it mean for your business financial goals? We'll help them do their business financial goals. With the business financial goals, we'll marry what product and service they are interested in, and then we'll say, now if this is the goal that you want to achieve, this is the product or the service that you have, let's now brainstorm on this. Now find out if there are any USPs available in the product or service. So you want to probably refine it more to add value which people will appreciate. At the end of the day, customer has to pay for it.
True.
So unless you get into that niche and give a USP, people will not buy it. Once you've identified the niche, then you say, okay, now let me do a customer segmentation of it. Once you do the customer segmentation, then you start to roll out and make those plans of then executing it. And then it doesn't end there. This is the subjective and the objective part of the exercise. But then basis these plans are made, and after every month initially, and then quarterly and a half yearly later on, we do the analysis of what happened in the past, which is like postmortem of how did you kind of perform basis what you had set yourself for,
Right.
for on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis.
Right.
And then we analyze that on a regular basis. We'll course correct what did not perform well, which element, which are the drivers which did not work well. For example, a simple layman example, my revenue is a function of number of customers into the revenue per customer. Simple. If someone has to look at revenue number of X and they are at half of X, we'll then go down whether it's number of customers causing problem or the price per customer or both. Then we'll go to why of it. We'll ask why, then why did this happen, why did this happen, all of that, till the time we get into the root cause.
Right.
And then we start to fix it from there.
Right. So, Pankaj, when we're saying we're building up a business or we're building up, an organization, I'm sure team is something which is a very important ingredient for any good organization and any implementations. So, when you talk about, you closely work with entrepreneurs, and it is in today's time, it's tough to have that perfect team to execute. Even, as I said, even if the product is not nice, if the team is wow and they kind of execute things well, it turns out to be great, and vice versa. So how do you kind of, give the importance of a great team to the people that you're meeting out? And there is a dearth of people where they're genuinely working towards a product, and there's dearth as well as there's plenty, to kind of be loyal towards any kind of one particular brand or organization that they are in. So what is the kind of, trick or a mantra that you kind of give to entrepreneurs who are there and who are, kind of thinking of a growth overall, to have a team which is for them, by them, with them all the time, to nurture that particular organization?
Yeah, so for them possible, by them possible, with them may not always possible.
Right.
Let's be frank about it.
Very true.
Right. So the idea of having a good team is an amazing idea, and one should strive for it, do whatever possible to achieve that.
Right.
But people will leave.
Right.
So you can't stop it.
True.
The thing that you can put to motion is to have structure around what do they do.
Right.
Why do they do what do they do? Build performance matrices for them,
Right.
which helps you measure minutest of the details of their performance, so you can identify which part of their role is of extreme importance to you, which part of their role is something which is a system-driven role, and there's a slack.
Right.
And you could probably remove that slack of it. Or that slack in itself is a demotivating factor for an employee, and that's where the person is like not interested to do that job. Because I am okay with 70% of my job, but this 30%,
Correct.
creates a distraction in my head.
Correct.
So you have to fix that for them, and then create a cultural environment where people work as a good, happy kind of team, and they work hand in hand. Which means a lot of work has to be done on culture. A lot of work has to be done on team development, which is providing them enough resources for their self-training, their maybe courses enrollment, maybe behavioral training at times, maybe training on what culture could be very small thing is writing an email. And we're talking about MSMEs where people may not always know English as much as
Sure.
they would want to do their job. We'll have to look at things differently. Like I'll share an example with you. I made this happen with a client. There were staff members who did not know English, and they had to eventually speak to the clients in English because that was a though MSME but a very niche client, and HNIs were they were addressing. So we made two small changes and that did wonders for them. I said, from tomorrow, the official language in office is Hindi. Just explain to your customers.
True.
So that fear of speaking in English goes off.
Correct.
And there were amazing people who could message the thing well, could explain what the issue is, who could explain how the service is. Just made it very clear that we are a Hindi-speaking organization. This is our official language.
Correct.
And the customer feedback was, wow, I can speak what I want to speak in the language and the person also understands.
Correct.
The second change that we did was, for all the email writing which was to happen and that has to happen in English, we hired a dedicated person just to do a written communication on English. That solved the entire problem. The team was happy.
Correct. Correct.
A small change,
Right.
but made an amazing impact.
Right.
So you'll have to take care of your resources. You'll have to find innovative ways of working. You'll have to make sure that people are happy what they're doing. Because see, in this case, the person there was absolutely happy with the job. But the frustration was, I cannot speak English, so I'm not good at job.
Right.
And the entrepreneur knew that the person was amazing.
Correct.
Just did that change for her.
Correct.
It made wonders. So you'll have to take care of that. Having said that, systems will help. That I've said it many times to a lot of clients. Systems run businesses, and employees run systems.
Right.
If you can just imbibe this in your organization, you will not face as many challenges as you face today. And that is what is my mantra to all the audience, viewers and listeners. Systems run businesses and people run systems. That is how it should go.
Perfect. So Pankaj, when what's the major challenge that you mentioned was finance somewhere or the other? So
People mention that.
yes, people mentioned that, and I think there are people who can. I mean, we closely have worked with more than 200 plus SMEs and MSMEs, and closely working with them. There is a level where they reach that you say, okay, we don't have a marketing budget. Okay, we don't have a budget to kind of promote, and you've built a fantastic product. You've put a lot of money in that, and you end up saying, I don't know how to showcase that. So there are people who come up with that. So that economic crunch is something which is high when it comes to this sector. So what are the kind of, if you could mention a couple of government aids and other, possibilities where these particular genre of people can reach out for a financial aid? Because I know a few, and I kind of keep on telling my clients that, but they come up and say, we don't know, it's a long procedure. It's going to take a lot of time, or we don't have that kind of a resource, or we don't have that time to build up such a big presentation, go up to and give that and give us some easy solutions. And nobody wants to understand nothing comes easy. Money doesn't come easy at all. You made something to get in money, and if you're looking at something to be invested, you will need to give your time to that. But people really, in terms of when they've started, it's a hush-hush situation for them that we're just stuck because we do not have financial aid. So which are the avenues that you really think that, because I also want to be updated in that scope, because I just know few. And when I give that few to my clients, it's like, we don't have that time to kind of, do such lengthy procedures or go after the government and say, this is what we have, or go up to institutes who are giving in the money, we'll figure it out ourselves, stuff like that. So I would also want to know that which are the avenues for where you can get that and how easy it is to kind of acquire that.
Okay, so I'll answer this in two different parts, and it may not be the answer that you expect.
Yeah.
But the problem of finance, in my opinion, is a mindset.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah.
When you start to work, and the process is kind of explained earlier, when you start to work on your business, first thing that you do is you make a plan for it.
Right.
And you see whether you could do this work or not.
Right.
Important aspect of that plan is the financial viability of the business. The financial viability comes from 2-3 factors. One, at a unit level if the business is making profit or not. 2, is the business scalable? Probably 3rd, do I have money as much as it wants to scale it in X number of months or years? If the answer to the 3rd question is no, then you'll have to redo the whole thing so that first it happens within your resources. Because as soon as you aspire for a 10x and you can do only X, you will struggle because you want to do 10x. You will start with an aspiration of 10x. You will not start with the aspiration of X. So if the mindset goes to X, then trust me, with that X, you'll have amazing amount of satisfaction and an amazing amount of money made.
I agree.
Which could then be reinvested.
Right.
So that's problem number 1, which needs to be addressed. Number 2, in my opinion, I have seen and experienced also that people who look for aids and grants, they do not work for business too.
I so agree. Yeah. True.
The aids and grants or schemes should work as enablers.
Right.
Should not be a foundation. Right. People come to me and say, if I will get a 10 lakh rupee loan under e-Mudra scheme, I will make money. That is not the way it works.
True.
So you will have to come out of that mindset of like technology, it is a resource, finance is a resource, it's a tool. You need to come out of that mentality of resource being an enabler and not the only thing that you could work for. You should work to add value to business. You should work to add value to your clients and customers and consumers. Once the value is seen by the clients should be ready to pay you for the service or product, and that will make the business and the engine work and run for you. Good. So these are the 2 kind of things which I always share and kind of found it relevant to mention here. And I always tell entrepreneurs to not be dependent on schemes and aids. Having said that, there are schemes for people who have reached to a scale and want to, grow further. They have got a business case which is profitable. They just need a scale, only scale, not the base foundation. There are schemes which help, like Mudra scheme, which gives you, collateral-free loan on a cheaper rate of interest. There are schemes which could help you in marketing and promotion at a trade fair. You want to put a stall or something. There are aid coming in. You want to go international. There are aid coming in for travel budget, etc. So those aids are there. Right. If you are good, your brand is good, you want to apply for a trademark, there's a scheme which gives subsidize a substantial part of the trademark. So those things are there, but those are enablers.
Right.
Those are to protect your business from exposure. That someone could tomorrow come in, put in more money and take you out of the business. Just look at it from that perspective. Don't make it the foundation. That's how I would answer it.
Right. Because then another major myth that I've been listening about since I think 2 years now, कि अगर कुछ नहीं है ना तो startup कर लेते. If there is nothing to do, then let's do a startup, or else let's invest in a startup. That's the new thing which is coming in. How do you really? I mean, for me, it's very funny. Having done my own startup down the line, it's very difficult for me to understand when people say कि यार कुछ नहीं है तो चलो startup कर लेते हैं. आज के time पे सारे करते हैं. So somewhere or the other, as an entrepreneur, even it's been a decade that we've been doing that. We still feel that it's not that easy to kind of go down that road, and it's better and safer when you're working in a safe environment and you're having your job and it's all set. You're working in the next days, but as soon as you turn up to be an entrepreneur, it's difficult. So it's not that koi bhi kar sakta. It's nothing of that sort. So how do you really kind of? I'm sure there must be questions like you mentioned earlier as well, that there are people coming up with weird questions. So there is this thing is trending that if there is nothing, then do a startup. And okay, I have an interest area in this product. I will do a startup in this product. Chalta hai, nahi to I have this loan that I can take to fund. As you said, that is something that they're depending on. So how do you really kind of put a absolute no to people coming up to you with that? Because it's very difficult for me as an individual to say, okay, I'm not going to be working with you because you don't understand what it takes to be an entrepreneur. It becomes very difficult. How do you really, kind of deal with people?
Yeah, so there's a good one, and yes, the buzz around. Yeah. People come and do startup just because they don't want to do anything else. The first question that I ask them is, why do you want to do a startup? Yeah. For those who don't have an answer to it, probably are not people who are going to make it. Let's be very blunt about it. Right. And entrepreneurial journey is hard. Mm-hmm. And so is an employee journey. It's not an employee's job. They have done both. Right. So underemployment is also hard and entrepreneurial.
For sure. Everybody has their own pressures.
Own heart.
Absolutely.
Of what you can do.
Right.
It is a function of what value you could potentially add. What is it that you bring to the table?
Right.
If you bring to the table something as an entrepreneur which you value, but people don't value, it's useless.
Correct.
If you bring to the table something that people value, you don't value, it's worth trying.
It's worth it. Right.
It's worth trying, and you need to bring your motivation to why would you not appreciate it when others are appreciating
Correct.
it. Bring that motivation and do something on it. People who just want to do for the heck of doing it or take government grants, no.
Right.
Simply, in my organization, we got a filter criteria saying this is what makes sense for people to invest their time in and our time also, because we work for success of MSMEs. We don't work for success of ours, because I am a firm believer that my success will come if our clients are successful.
True. Right.
So we work for their success. If that is not happening, it is not worth our time. Forget money. Money will come, it's a byproduct. So it's worth not their time, let's not do it. And we tell them on face, probably you're not ready. Let us give you homework. Let's give you 2-3 things to work on. Come to us within maybe 2-3-6 months, and then we'll talk again. Because if ever in India there's a time for entrepreneurship, it is now. And everyone should capitalize on that.
Correct.
If you can't do it, then think about what you want to do it. But if you can't do it, you just do it. So we don't discourage anything or any idea or any entrepreneur. If that is not syncing with market, we'll just give them a homework. We'll entertain them in sections. And for that matter, I've because I kind of have collaborated with a lot of people, I have to a few of them, I said, people who do not qualify for your criteria but are good businesses, just give it to us. We'll nurture them, we'll incubate them, and we'll make sure that they're successful business. Whatever it takes. Because someone has seen the potential of the business.
Correct.
Someone has validated the idea. Why to waste that effort, energy, time just gone in?
Right.
We just nurture them, we just mature them to a stage where they are scalable, their business becomes profitable.
Right.
They're people who attract funding and not look for funding. And this is probably one of the things on my website also. I don't know whether you've seen it or not. We do not say that we'll help you in funding.
Right.
We say we will make you ready for funding.
Right.
You should attract investors.
Right.
You should not, take pitch decks as resumes and post it every door. It is not the way it should work.
Right.
So that's how we kind of work.
Because, Digifish having a global clientele today, proudly I can actually say, when I'm working with, categories of people from different countries altogether, proudly saying that Indian entrepreneurs are still very clear of what they want to do and how they would want to do than anywhere else. Only for the fact, I think we have that clarity of when and why we should achieve that, unlike a lot of people in other countries are still very unclear of the fact that, why are they doing it? What is the kind of motivation? It's just that I have the funds at home, I've been invested, now let me just go and, kind of make something. We're still predominantly working on our basic ethics of why is it required? Why do we need to go out and give this particular product of the brand that we are catering to the audience? So predominantly we're pretty much clear, but post-COVID, there has been a syndrome in people which makes them scared of investment in terms of their own business. That, what if tomorrow something happens and, we kind of don't scale up? So let's do business in smaller chunks. Let's just think about 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and that's about it. Let's not have we always said that, there are micro stuff and there is macro. You kind of have that longevity that what is my long-term goal and what is my short-term goal. But post-COVID, when we're meeting people, they're always thinking of the shorter-term goals, that we don't really know what's going to be in future because there is war going on in some countries. We are seeing, political instability in a lot of countries, etc. So this pretty much unstable of what they're supposed to do. So at that point of time, how do you, as a person who's strategizing for them and telling them to grow their business into multiple folds and think bigger? Think bigger doesn't happen with a snap of a finger in 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. To think bigger, you need to have a goal, right? You need to have a long-term goal. But today people are scared for it. So how do you kind of, motivate them to do it? Because as I said, motivation is something which is still a miss when it comes to the ecosystem of an MSME. Because again, there is, the scared team is something which is always fluctuating. Stability is something which is not there. So what is the kind of key mantra you give those people to, aim towards a higher goal and to have a long-term goal?
Okay. Yes, that's the phenomenon which is being experienced in various pockets. Not all pockets, but various
Yes.
pockets. Yes, that's been experienced, and uh, this is where resilience kind of come to play very, very much.
All right.
The advice that we give to clients is, come what may, you have to bring in that phase or that portion in your organization which is called resilience, and sub part of that is risk management.
Correct.
Any entrepreneur, whether third generation, first generation, 2 days old, has never worked in an environment which is a risk-free.
True.
Today risks are different. COVID was a risk 2 years back. It could potentially be with still news coming out.
Right.
There could be war, which is a risk, but you never worked in a risk-free environment at all, ever in life.
True. Very true.
That could be as basic risk as a risk of not having water, a drought situation. Risk of not having money in the finance world. The power of a growth in business lies in management of risk. How do you manage that risk defines where would you land up. Very basic example. We all go out on the road for a walk to a mall.
True.
We have a risk of being hit by a car. We stop going out.
Correct.
No,
Right.
we cannot.
Right.
What do? We manage it well. There's a traffic management which is in place. When we go, despite that, we look right and left and all of that, and we cross roads accordingly. We walk on the footpaths, etc., etc. So what are you doing essentially? You are making sure that you're managing your risk well. There's no guarantee that you'll not be hit.
Correct. Correct.
Right? The idea lies in how do you manage that. So if you could manage it well, you could probably overcome a lot of those things. And managing starts from defining the risk for you.
Right.
What is the risk in your business? Then categorizing it in 2 categories primarily, and there will be more subcategories. What is a controllable risk and what is a non-controllable risk? Whatever is controllable, devise a following strategy of how can you control it and minimize your risk. That is very big chunk of your risk taken out. Whatever is non-controllable, then you define why it is non-controllable and how could you potentially overcome it, if at all you can. And trust me, and we all know it by the the education system that we've gone through. Anything which is above 51% in your life is a majority. And we work way beyond that.
Right.
People would be working on a 70%, 80%, 90%. But anything above 51% is a majority.
Right.
If you can control your businesses till then, it is amazing. Right. And you control beyond that. Right. Now, where the problem lies? Problem lies in the appetite of taking that risk. Which is when you said, someone in the overseas would say, I've got money, I'm okay to put at risk. Because higher the risk, higher the return. If you don't take that risk, you will not do anything. Like in the example, you will not take that risk of stepping out. You will not be able to go out and buy anything. Which is what people did in COVID, and that's where the Swiggies and Zomatos worked out. Right? Everything has to come and go, because if we'll go out, we'll probably be hit by a virus.
True.
But you can't help it, right? It lived its own life. Virus had a life of 14 days.
True.
So you'll have to work that out. You'll have to wear masks. You'll have to do A, B, C, D, E.
Correct.
You'll have to. This is how every business works.
Correct.
And you cannot have exposure-free environment. Today it is probably 4 degrees outside. Tomorrow it will be 48 also. You manage that risk.
Correct.
Right. We'll not have these jackets, right? If it's 48.
Right.
So you manage that risk.
Correct. Correct. So, Pankaj, when it comes to starting up your own venture or growing your venture, etc., as you just mentioned in our conversation, that you start going to universities rather than other places in terms of putting it to the right person at the right point of time when they're growing and when they're thinking of doing something like that. I see that there are a lot of courses apparently that has come, because, for example, for me, I've done my own master's from outside. I've done it from Scotland. Within my university that I know, they've built up courses for budding entrepreneurs, and they're like a 3-year course, a 2-year course, 1-year course. But for me as an individual, I don't really think it makes sense, because that is something that you don't really get on books. I mean, you are not going to meet people. You're not going to be having that at stage. You don't have the knowledge of what you're supposed to be speaking, etc. How do you really think a course will be? Is it sufficient for people to practically be out there in the world and say, okay, I'm ready to become an entrepreneur and I'm done with it? I've done like a 2-year course and I'm ready for it. Do you really think that works? Because for me as an individual, it doesn't. You know, so if somebody today comes up and says, because my university calling me and saying, okay, let's, you know, you've been in the industry for a decade, you're an entrepreneur yourself, come and give a lecture. I said, it's not happening for me because I cannot really tell people something which is not right. I mean, even after 10 years or 12 years today, I've worked earlier than that. So it's a good career span that I've had. And even today, I'm not confident in telling people that, okay, one course is going to be sufficient enough for you to become an entrepreneur and take the risk. It's something which is not possible, at least for me. What do you really think? That, you know, do you really think the courses are justified? No offenses, you know, they're there, people should take it, people should learn about it. But do you really think that makes a person ready to go battle the world of an entrepreneur journey that they're heading on to and be that headstrong to take it up front? Is that one particular or two particular courses enough for them? Or is it life that is practically going to teach you what is going to happen for you?
Yeah, so it's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And no offense to it.
Yeah.
They are obviously amazing courses, but in my personal opinion, they don't make sense
Yeah.
from a practical learning perspective. And I myself, and how do I call it? I am myself an antithesis to models, which is what are taught in these courses, right? You would be given a course on entrepreneurship and they'll say, okay, there are 10 models in which you work. Model A works in this scenario, model B works in this. There's nothing that exists on the ground like that.
True.
These models could be your, inspiration, but they're not fit for your situation.
Correct.
You will have to customize it. And which is what I proudly call, I am an antithesis to models. Any business model. I would not reinvent the whole wheel, but I'd still not put anything lift and drop in my business or any of my clients' business first. It has to be a thought through process, customized for your niche, for your own self, identifying your real problems. Right? For example, for someone, a resource could be a problem. For someone else, an AI could be a problem.
Correct.
How would you identify? Whereas there are courses on AI.
Right.
And I did a TED talk somewhere in August, and I gave a talk on how is what is the probability of AI impacting our personal ethics? Yeah. How would AI impact our personal ethics? And which was like a eye opener for everyone. It's like, how do you think AI could come in and impact your life? So it could be good for someone, it could be bad for someone.
Right.
And in there I gave an example that, and there was a news that time, a person could teach an AI to say 9 plus 10 equals 21. It was showing that answer.
Right.
Because AI was taught it to be right.
Right.
Now it means for that person who was doing that, it was right thing to prepare an AI to give a wrong result.
Correct.
But someone who's using it is wrong.
Correct.
So you may not need a tech, you may need a tech.
Right.
So if your problem is different, your solution has to be different.
Correct.
So in my opinion, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know, this is what we do with kids also. We have blamed our systems of education to say these are systems which would build employees and entrepreneurs, and people learn more in schools, and the students learn more in school and more at home, etc. There are various views. Not recommending either of them, but then various views. But practical experiences, when they go themselves out,
Right.
and they fall and they get up, that is where they learn.
Correct. True.
People don't learn in protective environments. People have to learn in environments which are tough for them. Like you said, tough times make strong people create easy times create weak people create tough times, and tough times again create tough people.
Tough.
That's the cycle. So that's how it works.
Correct. Great. It was surely an insightful session, Pankaj, that we had today. We can go on, I think. I'm sure there's enough doors that the listeners have got. Thank you so much for your time. Is there any closing statement that you would want to give, or any key thing that you would want to, tell the listeners in terms of how can they survive in the market which is growing?
Oh yes. So one statement, and which has impacted lives of a lot of entrepreneurs in my vicinity in a positive manner, and I call this as Pankaj Chawla's mantra of success. That is, measure it, achieve it. I repeat, measure it, achieve it. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Pankaj. It was a wonderful session and we really enjoyed it. Thank
you.
Thank you.